Hello everyone, my name is the Retroden and I hope everyone is doing good. Today I wanted to chill and play some video games, but I also felt like recording a video as I have been pretty motivated to do so, and I felt like today would be a good day to reflect a little bit on gaming in 2025 up until this point, and to talk a little bit and start or spark discussion with you all about how we've been feeling about gaming in this year and for the rest of the year. But before we start, I want to thank my supporter and member, GoldTec, for gifting me a subscription to Infinite Backlog. It's a site that tracks your gaming library that has a little bit more of a social side to it that I've been experimenting with instead of backlogged, even though I've been updating all of them that I usually track my games with. But I want to thank him for gifting me a Backlog Legend Patreon subscription that gives me some perks on the website. So thanks to him. And now let's talk about gaming and 2025 and how it's been feeling up until the 9th of April of 2025. So I feel like I have to start by saying that my opinion on how this year has been going is pretty much contrasted by the fact that earlier this year, if you've been accompanying my channel, I basically dropped achievement and trophy hunting to completely focus on the backlog and creating these videos. I decided that in the beginning of the year that having multiple experiences instead of focusing hardcore into a handful of games just because of some trophies or some achievements would be the better way to approach games if I wanted a more wide outcome of experiences for 2025. And I feel like that is a big factor in how I feel about gaming this year. So basically, to sum it up on how I feel about this year up until now, I think it's been pretty fantastic. I finally got to tackle a lot of franchises that otherwise I don't think I would be able to get to this year. And I feel like all of this is also motivated by the fact that until now, even though we're still very early into the year, there really haven't been many games that have come out that I think are must plays like right when they released. So I think that has been keeping my attention on the backlog in check for what it's worth it. But I feel like when it comes to that, I will have a strong attention and focus on the backlog up until August, which is when I think Mists of Pandaria Classic comes out, and then I want to give that some attention. But otherwise, I think gaming up until now in 2025 has been sort of perfect. And I think it's reflected also on YouTube and the content I've been seeing. Even though right now there's a lot of discussion considering the Switch 2 and the talks around the price and the games that are coming out and how it's going to shift the gaming industry, I think overall people have been pretty positive on their experiences this year, and that applies to me too. As I said, I've been playing a lot of stuff, and I also feel like it's been pretty good not only for quantity of games that I've been playing, but also for the diversity of them in terms of genres. I've played platformers, I've played action games, I've played adventure games, and I feel like all of it has been really helpful for me, not only as someone who wants to beat the backlog, but someone who needs to experience different stuff to keep creating this content and to make it as more diverse as possible for you guys. Because what I'm trying to do here is every year collect all of these experiences and play all these games so I have more stuff that I can tell you guys to give you some kind of value out of my personal experiences. So when I go into games, all that I'm trying to do is enjoy them for myself. I would say that's like 70% of the game, because at the end of the day, all of this needs to have a big portion of self-enjoyment, otherwise I wouldn't be doing it, and the rest would be me considering what's worth taking out of a game and the experience of the game to portray to you guys in these videos. And I think that this year has allowed a lot of space for that, collecting experiences from multiple fronts and telling you guys here on the channel what is great, what isn't, in terms of games and how you should be approaching the hobby. I also feel like a lot of people with a lot of time to reflect, and that's me included, have also come to terms that you will never please everybody, and people need to start realizing that it's time to focus on what they want out of their hobbies, most specifically gaming now. I still see on YouTube and in the gaming forums a lot of discourse around if you want to trophy hunt or if you should play harder games or games that are casual. A lot of it still stems from last year Astrobot having won Game of the Year, and now there's a huge talk about, are we really being too harsh on what we consider Game of the Year material? And I think that this year people are more open to the idea of games for younger generations being brought to the eyes of older people and enjoyed by even more people, which they should have never stopped doing so. But I think that's been something that's been happening more this year, especially with now the Nintendo Switch 2 and the release of more 3D platformers such as Donkey Kong Bonanza and stuff like that. Now, on a more personal note, I want to talk about some of the highlights of this year up until now for me, as we're closing Q1, and I think it's a good opportunity to reflect on experiences overall. So, I'm pretty glad to have gone back to Pokemon and into the Switch a little bit more this year, as I think I didn't give you its proper value throughout the years that I've had it, despite when it came out and I played a lot of Breath of the Wild. So Pokemon is something that I'm getting into slowly again, waiting for the release of Pokemon Legends ZA, but right now I'm playing Mario as well, and I'm having a really good time with that. I also delved a little bit into co-op games, helping my friend with Split Fiction, as I already mentioned in other videos, and that was a very pleasant experience as well. Into more complete experiences that I had this year, I have to highlight all the character action games that I've been getting into, such as Bayonetta, which is probably one of my favorites up until now. I have been really enjoying that, and I'm glad I finally got to it this year, and it's one of those games that makes me be thankful for being focused on the backlog this year and finally experiencing something like it. And just like that experience, I also have to highlight Nier Automata, which is the game that I talked about in my latest video, which if you didn't check out, you should definitely do so. But Nier Automata is one of those games that I am glad I did not skip for a single more day, month, week, or year. It's a one-of-a-kind experience. In a review I wrote on Infinite Backlog, in my subtitle I called it the second coming of Final Fantasy VII. When I say that, I mean that it was a landmark in how you tell stories inside of video games, and I very surely think that Nier Automata cemented once again the power that storytelling inside video games. But that was something that I am really passionate about this year, and I can't wait to get to Nier Replicant still this year. I'm just giving it a little bit of a time gap between Automata and Replicant, as I don't want to oversaturate my personal experience with two games back to back that are too similar, but I want to surely get to it this year. So those are some of the things that I've been getting into this year. Other than that, I've been really deep into exploring the aesthetics of games, and I'm working on portraying that more through my videos, as I already am starting to do with videos like the one I did focusing on video game water, which is something that I'm very passionate about and still going to talk more about in this channel. But those were some thoughts that I wanted to talk to you about for today. I know these videos are pretty niche, considering the only people that actually enjoy watching them are people who follow me on a regular basis. Despite how little that portion of my audience is, I very much enjoy talking to people that like listening what I have to say. So feel free to leave a comment and tell me what you think about gaming in 2025 for you. Up until now, personally, what has been your highlight for this year, or maybe your download? What do you think has been the worst thing out of the year? And I'd love to hear from you. Also, leave a like if you want to support me. It only takes a few seconds. And if you're new here and you've watched until the end, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. Other than that, as always, this has been the RetroDan, and I'm out.